Very good morning to you. Welcome to Good Morning Anambra discussion segment. How are you? Sure, the rain didn't beat you this morning, but that's the season. So that's time for everything. That's what they say. So let's keep moving. My name is Ijama Uche, and this morning we're going to look at, we're going to review the President Tinubu's October 1st address to Nigeria. That's the Independence Day anniversary address. And then see if we can, if there's any takeaway, we can look at it there, okay? And move forward. That's the most important thing for us. Welcome again. I have a guest that has joined me to do that. He is Barrister Chris Arokwe. Barrister Chris Arokwe is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Barrister.
Good morning, our people, and good morning, welcome.
Okay, good to have you here. President Bola Tinubu addressed the nation on October 1st to mark Nigeria's 64th Independence Day. Tinubu outlined several key initiatives and reassurances to tackle the nation's challenges. And these are the things we're going to look at now, ranging from the economy to every other thing that we need to do in this nation to move this nation forward. I'm starting now by asking you, how do you see that address generally before we start looking at the takeaways?
I've gone through the press, I've gone through the media to look at what other people are saying. Very notable Nigerians have condemned the speech.
Oh, really?
And found nothing worthy of mention in it. Some other people have also said that the speech was full of anecdotes, enthusiasm, and hope for the common man of Nigerians. But be that to say, my own personal view is that the speech, when you look at the so-called 10 takeaways, it left material content like the subsidy, the floating of the naira, which are the main adjuncts to the problem or the hinge we have today. So the central theme or the thing that triggered off the rivulets that we now witness were not mentioned in the key sectors of the speech, so to say. So I don't want to say that generally the speech lacked content. It lacked an arduous, ingenious, intellectual content to address the yearnings of the majority of Nigerians at the key point in our history. It didn't really go to enthuse or bring out even something they call the moral incentives, the energy, moral energy that could galvanize unity, security, hope. Because where there's loss of hope, there is actually nothing to expect. Foreign direct investment, people are running away, the foreign nationals have gone, the big companies are folding up, electricity have crumbled the fabric of continuity. A lot of industries are folding up because they cannot afford the EDC or the NEPA, so-called NEPA thing now. They can't afford the band A, band B, band C, and all the rest of it. Local manufacturers are not doing well.
Okay, before we get to the takeaways, Barrister, let me ask you this. If you are the president of Nigeria, how or what will be the content of your 64th independence anniversary? Before we look at what Tinubu says.
Yes. If I'm to write that speech, if I'm to read it to Nigerians, as a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I will start from a keynote point of apologies to my people, praying them that it's unfortunate that I am on the seat while all these things are happening. Telling them if I cannot do it better by next year that I will resign. Praying them to give you 1 year of period of grace I will firstly reverse the removal of the subsidy on oil and its related product. I will immediately address the issue of poverty by making sure that essential goods like drugs and medicine are not affected by high tariffs. I will adjust the foreign exchange market in such a manner that the flotation of naira will not be determined only by the market forces, in such a manner that we know that we are not manufacturing, that we are not producing, that we are just merely consuming, in such a manner that the naira will not be tons diving every week and every day. I will go forward to ensure that our institutions that guard the fabric of this country, from INEC to EFCC to ICPC to other related institutions like the police, are manned by personnel, people who are capable of immediately readdressing the huge gap and the huge surge in inefficiency, corporate inefficiency. Was the last election well the thought and effect of our people? Why would we not discrumble, set down INEC as an institution, restructure it in such a manner that it would look like other institutions in other countries of the world? Like the little Kenya, they had an electoral body that did an election, and the next day, the Supreme Court of the land seized the matter and gave judgment in 3 days that this their electoral body had not done well, and this is the actual result. This is the kind of institution we require. We wouldn't allow a man to benefit from his own fraud, from his own inefficiency. If we get a corporate personnel, a man who can have the integrity, intellectual incapacity.
Is this part of your address?
Yeah, that will be part of my address.
You are addressing the nation
even if
as a president.
Yes, even if it is, I'm saying I'm going to review.
Okay.
I'm going to review INEC. I'm going to make sure that judiciary becomes not the laugh of the country, not the black sheep of the country, but a sterling example of what the judicial system would be. I will start overhaul of the judicial system, from the lowest to the highest court of the land, to restore the hope of the common man.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, let's now start looking at what he has been able to touch. As a matter of fact, Nigeria is a big nation. Our problem is as big as we are. So it's not, it's expected that all the problems will not be solved at the same time. But in the area of security, which is why we are where we are today, we are having a lot of problems based on hunger and everything not working out for people displaced living in ID camps. The president beat his chest and said that he is doing very well there, that has been his focus to eliminate terrorists and bandits, and that he has been able to kill a whole lot of them, about 300, and their commanders. And he's not stopping. He said that the business is not done yet. So how will you assess that his assertion when it comes to checkmating security in the country?
Yes. I wouldn't want to laugh with you, but
checkmating in security, not just security, please.
What is written on the paper does not look like what is on the ground. I'm a member of the common fold. I'm a common man. Very, very, very fortunately, I belong with the masses, and that's where I am. So I know I don't fly. 90% of my travels are done by the road. So I know what is on ground. I'm not like those who are essentially privileged, that the only travel they make is through the air. So they hardly know what happens on the streets of the world, and the streets of the masses. The insecurity nationwide has doubled its fold. I say so because if you are autonomized, make it a small item state by state, you will see that insecurity, without mentioning specific points, insecurity in Nigeria has remained its audacious thing. It has not ebbed. There's no way anybody can beat his chest and say, I have done it. It's not erased yet. It is not anything that is different from what has been there before. Kidnapping, if you want to mention it, is an everyday occurrence. Asaba Road. I don't want to mention our state, Anambra, to highlight things that are happening in the sector of agitation and terrorism and all that. If you come in the East, IPOB is still in charge in terms of what happens and what does not happen. If you go to in Lagos, it's the same story. Benin to Lagos is a death trap. You don't travel. The Boko Haram people are still, farmers are not going to their farms. I do not know Plateau, Jos, Nasarawa. We hear stories every day of massive disruption of life. You kill a commander, another commander comes in. The problem of terrorism in the north has affected the entire country because Nigeria dwells on exchange of goods and services, because there are things we produce here that we need to flight back to the north, and there are things the northerners produce that we need to have here, and they were not getting it. There was a time that few tubes of tomato rose to 1,500, 2,000 because haulage, traveling, bringing these goods from the north to the south became Herculean because Boko Haram people or the authorities didn't allow the farmers to move up their goods down to the south. So I do not want to score the president, give him marks that we are checking what is happening in the north. It hasn't done well there. It hasn't done well. So insecurity is still at its own ugly head. So please, let's use the records that are on ground. Let us not use paperwork to do it.
Okay. When you were talking, when I asked you to address the nation as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you mentioned that you're going to tackle the problem of big industries and manufacturers leaving the country, maybe because of the exchange rate, policies that is not favorable to them, power supply, and a whole lot of things. But here in one of his takeaways, he said that he has been able to attract 30 billion naira in foreign exchange, foreign direct investment to Nigeria.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
How can you compare your own address and his own address?
Yeah, what is, you know, what I try to make you believe is that paperwork. I worked in an institution where we write things, people write things for us to look at and all that. What you write or what is read is different from what is on the ground. Nigerian Economic Summit has said that the statistics released for foreign direct investment in Nigeria was just 3-point-something billion. So that figure, padded about at 30 billion, has been distributed by a credible organization like Nigerian Summit Group, Economic Summit Group. So I don't take that figure. It's just being bandied to shore up demand and all that. So it's not worth mentioning that those people who come in to invest in Nigeria are still coming in to invest, except people who are coming in like Indians and Lebanese who are coming to invest in fringe areas of mining where they are indulging illegal mining that give them a lot of profit and all that. Those you cannot call them because those people are not taxed. Those people are not nominated and formulated into the tax structure. So illegality cannot be a foundation for our economic well-being. So I do not think that people are coming in because we neither see the effect, we neither see the building of new industries. As far as we are concerned, the only oil company that is of note that is still remaining in Nigeria partially is Shell. The Texaco have sold their interest to ADAX and all that. Mostly it's just Shell that is at the background. And they have offloaded their shareholdings, just a little capital investment that Shell still has in the country. So virtually everything called foreign direct investment has crumbled in Nigeria because there's no confidence. The confidence was bruised and taken away during the last election because most countries of the world believe that what happened in that election needed to be readdressed or reviewed. But we didn't get that review. Both judicial review and other institutional review didn't come with it. So a lot of deflating of our moral confidence was taken away from the country's profile. And just like a balloon that has been given a little shot of needle, it will deflate eventually, and it's deflating. So Nigeria is actually crumbling because there's no foreign direct support. There is no foreign exchange earning based on our, just what we're earning is based on our weak capacity to produce even the crude, where even Dangote is buying crude from Mexico and America, where we have at the background here being the sixth largest producer of oil and all that, and we can't even meet a small domestic input that Dangote cannot even live up to our base.
No, was that because we couldn't supply, or we don't have crude to supply, or because maybe your crude oil have been sold up front for years?
The crude oil has been mortgaged for years. Some people have paid up front for the supply of this thing so that their NNPC has their hands tied to contractual obligations. And then the incidences of the local miners, the local people, the floating in the high seas, and all the drudgeries that work in that petroleum industry. You know what it is? It's a theater of the absurd. So we don't open it up here because certain things will begin to be heard that are not necessary for the public audience. What we are saying is that the petroleum industry needs to be worked upon. The quality of personnel, the quality of what they do does not represent a profile that will move Nigeria into the next step. Because we have another comparable oil giant in Brazil that is the pride of the nation. Why wouldn't we have a national petroleum industry that will be the pride of Africa, not to talk of the world? Hasn't it come a long way? Is it not 64 years? Who is manning those NNPC from time to time? Is it the best of the personnel?
Okay. Let's take a break here. I'm bringing some people that we'll talk to on the streets. When we come back, we're going to look at the agricultural sector because the president once said that he is focusing on fighting terrorism and then banditry to ensure that the farmers get back to the farms and then produce food so that hunger will be curbed. We'll go to streets now. When we come back, we'll look at agricultural sector in Nigeria. Take a look.
Fighting insecurity, it means a lot of things need to be done. The military will be involved. In fact, the security apparatus in this nation. At a point first, it seems as if they are collaborating with these bandits and kidnappers. Because you cannot tell me, after registering name, SIM registration, this, that, which are we are supposed to have a central data that links everybody's contact. Kidnappers still kidnap people, go into the bush, place demands for ransom, and they use phones to make such calls. And the ransom is paid, and the security is not doing anything. But whereby someone steals a little thing here now, you will see them run up and down. At the end of the day, we trace the person. So why wouldn't they trace kidnappers in their dens to fish them out? So that's why I said that it's a teamwork if actually the security apparatus in this nation wants to curb, they want to work.
I really want to thank him at least for coming out, and then also also hope that everybody's praying for him. I don't want to condemn his speech or anything, but I believe that we should pray in as much as people are expected to do something. He has done what he has to do, but we know that if godly people are around our leaders, they will always bring out very righteous and godly solutions to problems. So we are not just looking at our president as saying the wrong things or making his speech very beautiful. We should also pray for those around our president, those around our leaders, his advisors. If these people are godly people, I'm sure he would think on behalf of the good of the people. So he has said what he has to say, but we Nigerians should also do our own part by praying for our leaders. We can't underestimate the power of prayer.
Having heard that he applauded the military for fighting against Boko Haram, I haven't seen anything he has done against the Boko Haram. So the insecurity situation in the country is on the high side. You understand? So the expectations of the people is that he should look into the problems of Nigeria. You understand? He should look into the basic problems of Nigeria, not starting today to start planning for 2027 in whatever way he is doing it. You understand? So he should look into the basic problems of Nigeria. Nigerians are hungry, one, and they are insecure. You understand? So these are the things you should look into. So the ordinary Nigerian in the street is an angry man today. Even the minimum wage we are talking about is not commensurate with the inflation in the country. So we expect that he does something better.
Well, for me, a lot of people have been passing comments on what he said. Nigeria, we have had a lot of speeches, really. I think what we'll be talking about is actions, not speeches, because if we look at the speeches most times that the president gives, it's people that write it. So sometimes the disheartening thing about the presidential speech is that president talks like as if he's still campaigning. The people on ground are the ones that should give feedback on the success of the administration. So for me, it's all rosy. The speech was all rosy, but on ground, the people are still suffering. The price of food hasn't gone down, price of food stuff hasn't gone down. And some people have actually picked stones in his speech. For example, where he was talking about the bringing down the ways, means, whatever. That he said he brought it down from 30 trillion, and he has cleared it. But people, financial analysts have made us to understand that what they simply did was to extend there was a language they used, almost like we are still the ones that are going to pay it. They just made it to be a long kind of debt that we will pay over the years, So there's nothing like clearing. Nigerians are still the ones paying for it, really. So all these things are terminologies that the government uses to confuse the people. You say if you have cleared a debt, but the truth is that you have extended it so that people will not pay for it over years, through tax and all those things.
We really expected so much from him as the president of Nigeria. He can start by reviving the economy and other things, creating more job opportunities. So that's what I have to say. And again, do much more about the insecurity in Nigeria. I think this thing is really hampering our economy. So people are scared to move around. People are scared to come inside the country and invest. So that's how much I really have to say.
Okay, good to have you back. It is still Good Morning Anambra on a Thursday morning, where I am hosting an analyst that is taking it bit by bit to tell us exactly what we should take away from the president's speech. That's the 64th Independence Anniversary speech. Well, we've been able to look at one or two things, but let's look at agriculture because we are hungry. Yes, I said something before we left that the president said that he's fighting insecurity to ensure that farmers get back to the farm. But here he said that he's urging the states to embrace agricultural programs to boost food production, revealing we have approved the establishment of a local assembly plant for 2,000 John Deere tractors and other farm equipment to support farmers nationwide. And my question is it state government that power agriculture? I was thinking it's an individual thing, you know. Do the state governments have farms? How will these things get to the people, for us, the actual farmers, for us to have a good production in the agricultural sector?
Well, you can see, you viewed the public forum where you can see that nobody actually spoke with enthusiasm that things are getting better, that things are on their way to heal.
People are hungry now.
As far as we are concerned, people are saying, Lord, give us our next daily bread. Because nobody is sure when you wake up, you're going to be challenged by the street, you're going to be challenged by the petroleum price. You're either buying at 1,002, or you're buying at 1,005, or you're buying at any rate that you wake up with. You're not sure what your next meal is going to be. You're not sure whether you're going to have electricity for 10 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours. So it's all the same old story. We are worse for it. It's a rough ride that we have. Then talking about agriculture, what do we take away from agriculture? There's nothing happening in agriculture. Our agriculture has been disorganized from the 80s, where we abandoned agriculture as a mainstay of our lives and our economy and jumped into the oil wells and the oil profit. Some Nigerians became bigotry, multi-billionaires, trading off on our pitfalls and the lacuna that is in the laws and the implementations, policies and all that. We know what is happening. Agriculture has been left to the redundancies of organized private people, croppers, or what do you say, organized, disorganized private sector. Agriculture has been left in that regard and all that. Some state governments are beginning to wake up. We used to have the farm plantations by Dr. Mike Okpara. We still have those kind of settlements. At Unkwele here, we have an agricultural poultry farm that lived, and I don't know what has become of it.
A Mariam farm settlement?
Mariam farm settlement. I know when they used to bring chickens to the ministries where we're in the service, they sold chicken at almost giveaway, crates of egg at giveaways and all that. And we profited from all that kind of thing. Why can't we have incentives to drive back our farmers, to get them into corporations and corporate bodies in order that tractors can be utilized on a large farm estate? Rather, what we are doing, particularly in Anambra State, we are buying up agricultural land and converting the agricultural land into real estate and into other more commercial investment areas. Some people are buying that they want to establish schools, they want to build hotels in every nook and cranny of Anambra State. There's virtually no land that is being left for intensive, extensive agricultural endeavors and enthusiasm. When you flank out and go into the small areas of land that is still left for agriculture, you find out that what is left cannot sustain our future lives and expectations. Government has a deep and direct role to play to make sure that we produce certain types of food all the year round. In certain, when you even go to the US, for example, you eat corn as if there is a circle. The circle is continuous. If you go to rivers, they still have this type of corn all year round. You can eat fresh corn in River State here all year round because they're not doing the middle year cropping. They're trying to do some irrigational system where the first corn, the third corn hatches. But our Anambra people are still doing it because you now see that corn is still coming in, but it's coming in 2 seasons now. Otherwise, we should have finished with the first phase of the corn season. And we need to sustain that gap in order that corn can be translated through its full food chain, converted to this, and so that in the process, the product is preserved all the year round. Just like yam, when you now have yam, we have not tried to do a yam season that has to go through the food chain, convert the live, thick tubers, convert them to processed food items so that you can always have a feel that you want to have yam in one process or the other, pounded yam, flour of it and all that. But now you just see that when the weathers come, the yams are shriveled, they're turned into skeletal tubers that is worthless and tasteless. But that should be food chain in order that we now put in processing into the farming process. Put in stockpiles of savings, grains. You save these grains in such a manner that you resell it, put it back into the market during the off-season of these grains. But we're not doing all that yet. But the steps that the state took over distributing millions of palm fruit is palm fruit has a gestation period of 3 to 5 years. We're looking forward that in those times when this gestation period is over, that we'll begin to have quality palm fruit that would galvanize the food chain into processing, into oil, and into all sorts of other processes that oil and the palm oil is used to make soap, to make other accessories and ingredients in other products that to what the commercial value of the enterprise. But we need to have our indigenous yam process. How do we help the farming communities, those areas where good quality yams are produced, how do we help them to deepen their processes?
Okay, fine. Yeah, we don't have much time in our hands, but we want to lob this together to find out if there's anywhere that we can take some positive breath from the presidential address. We talked about, what do you call it, the oil, okay? The subsidy that was removed, the hardship that has befell the citizens of the country. But the president has now ventured into a CNG production of mass transit vehicle, of which he distributed some the other day. Is it not a plus to the presidency?
Well, I will tell you that I have been, one way or the other, in knowledge that this compressed natural gas has been in the system for a very long time. When the Nigeria was floating the idea of manufacturing industrial vehicles, articulated vehicles, those are the idea that those vehicles will use CNG. I think the CNG is an old issue. It's not a modern thing. Many countries of the world are abandoning it. It's not something that would drive the future. What will drive the future that the people are going electric, people are going solar. The CNG, the manufacturing process is not something that takes just now. It takes a little while to popularize and all that and all that. These cars have been manufactured. Conversion, you don't know the stability of a one-line product. Like putting CNG into my old Sienna or my own Honda, you don't know what the process will turn out to be. But it's better used in vehicles.
Long-term effects.
Yes, it's better used for long vehicles that are particularly articulated for diesel. The harder, not the lighter burning petrol. The conversion process is not a day's work. It has not been popularized. I have not seen one running. So these things are gesticulations that are more or less very flattery And just like the minimum wage that has been floated, that is being held at 70%, 70,000 naira, and you see what the inflation has done to it. So we need to not to anchor our hope that the CNG is the miracle tablet or tube that would work out everything. Petrol, we need to see what we'll have to do about the pricing of the petroleum product. We have to sit down and see what India did when they floated the idea and remove oil, remove subsidy on the oil. The Indian parliament met and saw that this is one product. There's no country in the world that is not running a subsidy. America is running subsidy on wheat. Britain is running subsidy or even on oil. Because you have to sustain your people. You have to help them to get down to where they want to get to.
Very important. Okay, let's look at youth employment before we conclude. Youth employment programs, they said that he has put a lot of things in place, the education fund and a whole lot of things, and then planning to give, to create 2.5 million jobs annually. What he said that during his campaign, he's still running with it. And I don't know how far we have gone in seeing maybe a youth from my family, your family, or from your place being employed during this period of time.
I don't want to sound despondent. I don't want to sound a mantra of despair. Okay. But it's not all that. But we need to, like, while we're alive, we should be truthful to the truth. Somebody said we shouldn't be truthful to man. We should be truthful to the truth. Let's leave God out of it now, because most people who have done well leave God out of it and work hard. Prayer, like somebody said over the public square there, that we need a lot of prayers. I don't think it's prayer that we need. We need a lot of work, and we need a lot of truthfulness. Okay. And this truthfulness I have in mind is the truth to the truth. Like people will say, speaking truth to the power. It's telling your boss that this is wrong.
And in the area of employment, what is your truth?
My own truth is that nothing has been done. Okay. And then let's leave the anecdotes on the papers. Let's leave things that are happening. Because I do not see how a PhD holder will become an Uber driver and he says he's employed. Employment is supposed to be a structural employment. If I'm a surgeon, I should be found in the theater operating, opening people up. If I have a BSc economics, I should be working in an environment where my thesis, my project is called into view. And not when I qualify as economics from a university, I end up being a petrol fuel dispenser or a banking clerk. Okay, that is not employment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for coming today, Barrister Chris Arokwe. Okay, thank you. And that's how it's been today as we review the President Tinubu October 1st address to Nigeria. My name is Ijoma Uche. God keeping us will be here tomorrow. Do have a good day.